Hello you wonderful people, how are we all doing today? I have got a mystery for you all today. So it's called The Mystery of the Two Children, otherwise known as the Charfield Rail Disaster, which is, it's a little village outside of Gloucester called Charfield, obviously. Now this happened on a October night, 13th of October 1928. Now it was, at the time, it was a national tragedy, and it was a collision between three trains, and there was quite an explosion as well. So the disaster unfolded as the Leeds to Bristol night mail train even made its way through the morning fog. No one knows why, but the train ran past a red light signal, as it were, at Charfield, and the 60 passengers were seconds away from disaster. So the train suddenly slammed into a goods train that was still on the line, and then veered off into a third empty train. It ignited gas cylinders that were on the night train, the one with 60 people, hung beneath the front carriages of the mail train. The explosion and fire unfortunately killed 16 people, despite frantic efforts to save them. Now this is where the two children come in. They are a bit of a mystery, so I'm just going to describe the scene a bit more and the following events of what happened, and then we'll get to the children and I'll discuss the children a bit more. So the passengers at the front of the train were burnt beyond recognition, so they pretty much died straight away. So one passenger was thrown out of the coach, over the bridge and into the road. He later died in hospital. The railway tavern pub was turned into a temporary makeshift hospital and morgue, because with it being a closed, and of course they didn't have the means like we do. We have helicopters and all that now. And witnesses describe flames going to 30 or 40 feet high. So this is a story that was in the Times from a passenger who was on the train. He was an engineer from Bradford. He was travelling with his fiancée at the time, and he remembers she screamed before she was thrown out of the carriage, and then he was also thrown out of his carriage himself due to the force of the collision. The event was described in the Bath and Wiltshire Chronicle. The scene was one of horror. Mingling with the cries and moans of the injured was the hissing of steam and the crackling of flames. So in another paper, so the Bath and Wiltshire Chronicle, the whole event, it was described, the scene was one of horror. Mingling with the cries and the moans of the injured was the hissing of steam and the crackling of the flames. Right, so this is where the two unknown children come in. Now, there's been a lot of theories. So the bodies of two young children were among the remains of the burning trains. Now, despite nationwide publicity, no one came forward to claim the remains. Now, because no one came forward to claim the remains, the residents of Charfield buried them in one of the local churches in a grave. So it was like a mass grave, obviously with other people. And on the gravestone, they were buried in a common grave, as it were. They're listed still to this day as the two unknowns. Now, this is where the theory comes in, because obviously they were missed by someone. So the mystery deepened when a woman dressed in black began reportedly visiting the grave every year on the anniversary of the accident from the 1930s to the 1950s. Now, clearly they had family, they were loved, and I don't know if it's to this day if we will ever be able to find out who they were. So the legend has it that she had flowers and she prayed by the side of the grave, and of course no one ever saw her face because she wore a veil which was constantly covered. So the identity, there are some clues however, which I will go on to in a minute about roughly where they come from. However, some rumours, because people who had seen this lady visiting in the past up until when she stopped, apparently she'd always come in a Rolls Royce. Now, the mystery of this lady, still unknown to this day. I'm not sure if we will ever know, because especially if she has no family members left, it would be really nice if they came forward and could claim the bodies of the children as well, and we could, or at least put names on the gravestone. So some people used to think the lady in black, I'm just gonna call her the lady in black, is from royal blood because she came in a Rolls Royce and apparently the license plate was always covered up. So the theories about the children range from them being the royalty, which is what I just said, to they were sleeping rough and were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't think the sleeping rough is the likely scenario, because if this lady who knew them or was a family member of them visited and she came in a Rolls Royce, so I think the whole they were sleeping rough in wrong place, wrong time. I think that, and from other descriptions, so I have looked into it a bit more, and there are other descriptions, so it kind of deepens a bit. So a porter had seen the two children at Gloucester Station. They were travelling alone. So the girl was aged about 9 and the boy between 11 and 12. Each were wearing a school cap of some kind. So after the accident, obviously the police were there. So a police sergeant found part of a school blazer that would have fit a boy or a girl aged between 8 and 10. So it was Air Force blue in colour with black ribbon around the pockets. There was a badge, floral design on red background, a bit like my jumper really, and there was a Latin motto on it that said, I may be saying this wrong, Luce Magistra, which loosely translates as light being a test. Now it has links to Queen Ethelburga boarding school, which is 25 miles outside of Leeds. I have tried to have a look at their blazers. I've gone onto the school website as well, and it's not very easily discernible, and there I have tried to look at past school photos and it's hard to confirm what the blazer looked like. It would be interesting if anyone knows or has any photos of the school blazers, please message me, send me a photo and let me know, and because I would love to take the story further and actually come to a conclusion of who the lady in black is and who the two children were. Alright, so these aren't the only theories about the children. There is also another theory from a local carpenter that said that the two small coffins were not children, but the remains that could not be fixed to any recognisable person or persons. So there's also rumours that some people think that the train crash could have been to have covered up a murder, but not just any murder, probably a government murder or something like that. Other conspiracy theories focus on the driver, Henry Aldington, as he was blamed for the crash, with the jury unanimously finding him negligent on passing signals when at danger. So he was committed for trial at Gloucestershire Assizes, I probably said that wrong, on a charge of manslaughter, but the case did not go ahead, and he was discharged. So basically he's gotten away with manslaughter and murder. But the fact that he walked free just clearly fueled the rumours, made everyone gossip more, and then of course that's when the whole other conspiracy came in, that the disaster was a cover-up. I mean, this was sounds like it was a pretty, I mean, the photos I've put on, you can see it was a pretty big accident. It was pretty disastrous as well. There was a lot. It was like a train accident. It was a mess. But I mean, the biggest question still to this day, apart from the children obviously, which I will go back to in a minute, was how this disaster even happened. I mean, it was stated that it was the fog, it was really heavy and dense, and we know what it's like driving that massive pile up a few years ago on the one of the bridges in the UK, I think up north somewhere, or is it south, I can't remember where it was, and there was what, 30-40 cars involved. I mean, that just goes to show what can happen when you're not paying attention, you're not traveling slow enough when you can't see 3, 4, 5 foot ahead of you. And I mean, we still underestimate weather when we shouldn't. So back in those days, of course, now trains are late and it's a miracle if they're ever on time, but apparently back in those days drivers were really reprimanded if they were late on shift or the train was late. So maybe it could have been that it was just the pressure of making sure it was on time to every stop. We don't know. But it was a dreadful mistake that resulted in 16 deaths, 100 years of rumours, legend and conspiracy theories. 2 years later, so the accident was 1916. So 2 years later, in 1918, a Bristol chief constable who had links to a solicitor who supposedly told him the identities of the 2 unknown children, was found in a London park with his throat slit, basically. So again, this is not gonna help fuel the rumours and the theories that these 2 kids were part of something bigger. But this is also on the list. I am planning with David to go here. So they have a memorial. But I would like to go, even if it's just to the memorial, just to do an investigation, because 2 children have been seen walking hand in hand in the exact spot where the accident happened. I'm not sure how regularly they've been seen, but I think this is one of Gloucester's or Gloucestershire's biggest mysteries, and I think it's about time it's been solved. And I'd love to go up and do an investigation, see if we can find out any more, and also see if there's anything else we can find. If anyone knows anything, rumours or any more conspiracy theories, please let me know, because I would love to do a follow-up video to this. So hopefully soon in the future, within the next 12 months, you will see an investigation of Charfield Rail Disaster, and hopefully we will get in contact with these children and hopefully learn at least something that I can go to archives or anywhere that anything will come back. This is a really big mystery, and I love mysteries, and it'll be awesome if we solved it. 100 years later. More than 100 years, it's 106 years. So yes, I would like to go on the anniversary in October as well, so we may do a couple. That is it for me. Thank you for joining me. I hope you all have a lovely weekend and a lovely week. Love each other, stay safe, and I shall see you next week. Oh, and please do join me next week. Next week I will be doing a Facebook Live, I think it's on YouTube as well, with Ghosted UK will be hosting. I will be on it myself so you could all get to meet the lovely David, and as everyone knows her, Nanny Lynn as well. So I will do another mystery video as well. So thank you for joining me. Bye.